I don't know why I look so goofy on here. Look like I'm bald. Anyway, hi YouTube. I am just waiting for my TikTok audience to turn up before we get going. And hello, just doing my hair. Okay. Sorry, I just did my hair all goofy. I'm all disheveled. What's wrong with me this morning? Okay. So while we're waiting for people to turn up, I'd love to know where you're from and how old your kids are. So what are the ages of your kids? I'm in Vancouver, Canada, and my kids are 33 and 28. So I'm all finished. So I'm just adjusting my webcam for YouTube. I'm on YouTube at the same time. So Oklahoma, 8, 5, and 2. Okay, that's a nice age group. So you've got 3 years between each one. That's nice. Planned that out, did you? Oklahoma and Dot joined. You must have been in early to get that title, to get the name Dot. I'm sure a few people have tried that one. Okay, sorry. I'm just being told I've got to adjust my view. I'm trying. There we go. Okay. Finland, and my girl is 1 and 3 months. Oh, so you've just got a little one. Not quite. I always say that the toddler year starts at 16 months in my mind. 16 months to 35 months to me is a toddler. 3 and 4 is a preschooler. 5 to 8 is, I just call them school age kids. 9 to 12 is a tween. 13 and up, obviously, teenager. Kosovo. Hello, you've been here before. And how old are your kids? I'm just asking people. Gas. I don't even want to say that. Gas, where is that? Yes. So I'm just going to look that up. Oh, Gaspezi. Where is that? Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful. New Brunswick. Never heard of it. Oh, okay. Welcome. Oh, geez, I can't pronounce that. You got a girl, 22. So you're all finished with parenting, are you? Michigan here. My daughter is 2, 6 years old, 3, 1, and a newborn. Oh my God, 3. You got a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a newborn. Wow. And you've got time to go in here? Wow. Daughters 1 and 4. Cute. Okay, well, let's get going. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go in the link above, you'll see everything I've got to offer. I'm also on YouTube at the same time. And so I'm TikTok and YouTube when I do these lives. And anyway, so let's get going with your parenting questions. Right, LOL, Sydney. 27-month-old and a 4-month-old. My most challenging clients are the ones who have a toddler and a newborn. I do crisis work, like big crisis stuff. That's not as challenging for me as when I'm dealing with a mom who has a newborn and a toddler, because there's only so much I can tell her to do. She's so, in the thick of it, right? So yeah, it's very physical. Definitely hard. It is. Because also they're emotional and, I have to be nurturing and I have to be nice and all that, because they're, hormonal and there's a lot going on. Okay, parenting questions. Let's get going with that. Got my notes here. My notes are, I'm going to read this out right now because most of you have toddlers. So I'm just going to start off with telling you my 5 top toddler tips. So if you're a parent of a toddler, these are my top 5 tips. Number 1 is child-proof your house so you never have to say no. Number 2 is get a toy rotation system going so they're never bored. I only had like 5 toys out at any given time for my kids. Number 3 is to play in their world. You connect with your little ones in their world. You get down on the floor on their level, so you don't connect with them at the nail salon. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. Number 4 is stop trying to figure them out. They're not figure-outable. They're just forming. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just like one marble and some tumbleweed in there. And number 5 is stop with the mini therapy sessions when you're disciplining them. All this, you hurt my feelings and you shouldn't do that. It's just garbage. That's not for them, that's for you. So it's consistent corrective actions when you're disciplining a toddler. It has to be right in the moment, and they only learn through consistent corrective actions. But it's got to be every single time because they learn through repetition. So those are my top 5 tips if you have a toddler. Okay. So parenting questions. I'm drinking a smoothie, and I put broccoli and cauliflower and everything in here. If I end up with green specks in my teeth, it's the spinach. Sorry about that. Okay, picky eaters, how to fix them. Okay, no one ever likes this answer, but actually someone said they tried that and it worked. I was surprised at that. I thought that whenever I say this, probably people bail ship. But anyway, here's how I dealt with my kids. My son especially was a very picky eater. I never had any junk food in the house. So if all he had the choice of was this healthy food or that healthy food, he knew there was no ice cream in the freezer. He knew that there was no potato chips in the pantry. He just knew that. So they just get used to eating healthy stuff. And, that's just the way I did it. It's a bit radical, but that's the way I like to eat anyway. So I just made sure that they knew there was never any like sugar and salty stuff to back up with. So they knew they don't eat broccoli. There's no chips waiting for them. That's how I dealt with picky eaters. Also with toddlers, they don't tend to eat as much as you think they need. Like I remember when my son was little, I thought, gee, he's not eating a lot, but then he was growing. So they just don't tend to, I think we think they need to eat more. By the way, the two biggest growth spurts are babies, because they grow at such rapid rates, and they grow like one day they may eat a lot, the next day they may not, because they don't grow like this. They grow like this and that and this and that. They go up and down. They have growth spurts, right? Teenagers too. They'll go through like periods where they'll just eat like crazy and then they won't eat much at all. So toddlers are kind of in there too, and they like to graze. They don't tend to be meal eaters. Do they know how to share at 3 years old? That's when they can start to learn. Is at 3 they can stop and, sorry, I've just got a whole bunch of stuff going on here. I don't know why that happened. Sorry, I just got a notification about a device. I'm allowing TikTok to access all my devices evidently, and I'm like, should I have done that? I just went, sure. Okay, so what were we talking about? Do they know how to share? You can teach them how to share at 3 years old. And it's kind of tricky, but you've got to pick your battles with that. Like, what are they sharing? Do you expect them to share everything and just learn that right away? No. You can teach them how to learn how to share like one swing. Let's say, we'll just pick that as an example. So you go to the park and there's only one swing and you've got 2 little kids. You say, I'll tell you what we're going to do. And you always take control of the situation. That we're going to have, you have 2 minutes on the swing, then you have 2 minutes on the swing. But whoever goes first only gets 1 minute. So the first one gets 1 minute and every turn after that gets 2. So you're teaching them how to share. You don't do this with toddlers, you do this with 3 and up. Anyway, and flip a coin to see who goes first. Okay, so you're actually teaching them how to take turns, how to share. I've got some funny stories about that with my kids, but I won't tell all those stories right now. Okay. I can do that. What, the health food or the sharing? Picky eaters. Yeah, it's tricky. If they know there's something good in the, waiting in the backstage for them, why on earth would they eat broccoli? Yeah. Food, yeah. Okay. How to get your 3-year-old son not to hit. Okay. At 3 years old, that's when my behavior board starts. The behavior board is free and it's up above in the link. Everything I have to offer is in that link. It's all in bullet point form to make it easier for you. So the behavior board is completely free. It teaches you how to teach them how not to hit. So you say to them, no hitting, put it on the behavior board. No hitting. And every time they hit, there's a consequence. If they hit their little brother or sister, that little brother or sister gets to play with their favorite toy for 10 minutes or a half hour. So it's kind of nice when you can get the punishment to fit the crime. I also have a little mini course on toddlers who hit that does go up to the age of 3. Even though I don't call them toddlers, in that course, they're grouped in that. So it's a little mini course up there if you're interested. But yeah, they can learn at 3 years old. They can learn. We all learn through consequences. If you just tell someone not to do something, that's the mini therapy session stuff that I hate so much. You shouldn't do that. It's not very nice. And they're looking at you like, I don't care. And but if they know that they're going to have to hand over their favorite toy to their little brother, they might care. Life's about consequences. if the like, does your landlord just say, I'd really like you to pay the rent? It hurts my feelings if you don't. If you knew you never had to pay rent, you might never pay it. You see what I mean? There's a consequence. You don't pay your rent, you get kicked out. Don't pay your taxes, you go to jail. Stuff like that. It's like we all learn through consequences. So, and so do kids. Does it also work on 4-year-old kids? Yeah. The sharing or the food? Both of them. Anyway, I can talk to you via PM. Am I supposed to know what that means? PM. If you want to talk to me directly one-on-one, that's coaching. So that's in the link above, if that's what I don't quite know what you mean. And if you mean DM, I don't really, like, I don't coach for free is what I mean. One-on-one stuff, you have to hire me for that. So just, sorry, I keep hitting my desk with something here. All my free stuff is here. My lives are free, all my videos are free, and my behavior board's completely free. That's in the link above. How to deal with separation anxiety at home after started kindergarten, 16 months old. Yeah, they're just going to go through it. It's just a stage that they go through. So you do the dump and run. When you drop them off, it's very quick. You just do the dump and run. So you say bye, and then you always end with when you're going to see them. So you're going to go, okay, I'll talk to you later, or I'll see you later. We'll go out for, not talk to you later. We'll go out for ice cream later, or whatever. So yeah, always end with what fun thing you're going to do. Oh, 9 and 10-year-old fighting. I just did a video on that. Let me look that up. Kids who don't get along, kids who are fighting. Actually, I really like that video. I should have done it longer. There was a whole bunch of other stuff I wanted to say in there too. But I just did that video. Oh, how to help your kids get along. I did that 2 days ago. 3 days ago. How to help my kids get along was the video. Just a second. Sorry, I got a million things. I got so many screens up here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 screens going. And I can barely handle one, so you can imagine. Anyway, the way that you get your kids to get along is you want to build their relationship up. There's lots of different methods, but this is the one that I went with on that video that I was talking about. So a lot of parents say to me, well, the kids don't get along. And I spend lots of one-on-one time with each one. That is the exact opposite of what you should be doing. You're building resentment. And how is that fixing their relationship? It's not all about you. Like, what you want to do is you want to do stuff with them, with all of them. You do group activities and you play to the weakest link. Like, you don't do a game that the little one can't even play. You do something just silly. Do silly stuff. Have fun with them. Or you can just all sit around and watch a movie even. Like, you do stuff together. That builds their bond. Now, I did a lot of crazy stuff with my kids. And usually the way that they bonded, they were a boy and a girl, 5 years apart. They didn't have a lot in common, but they bonded over laughing at me, all the silly stuff we did together. And they laughed at mom. Oh, no, look what mom's doing now, because I was kind of crazy. So that you bond with them as a group, it builds their relationship, especially when they're making fun of and laughing at you. Nothing more fun than laughing at your mother. Even to this day, they still, nothing more fun than laughing at mom. And I give them a lot of material. Okay. Alyssa on YouTube asked, how old are your kids? My kids are 33, and my 33-year-old son is now, his daughter is due in a couple of months. And then my daughter is 28 years old. So, but yeah, they're all grown. I miss it. I miss parenting. It was the most fun I ever had. And Alyssa said, did you ever put your, okay. Did you ever put your hand over any of your kids' friends' mouths? Well, I'm not going to answer that. Why would I do that? Do you agree with the cry out method for toddler over a year? I have no idea what that means. I'm very particular. I stay in my lane. I only teach what I know. So I've never done that. I don't really know what you mean by that. So, yeah. Oh, Alyssa, you're a kid, aren't you? How old are you, Alyssa? It's on YouTube. I think I've got a young person on there. Okay. And I give constructive parenting advice here. 15. Yeah, there you go. Hi, Alyssa. Can I pick it or what, right? Okay. Advice to give well, I was proud of myself then. Sometimes I can't. So advice to give a 4-year-old whose classmates are calling him a baby. Okay, that's the bullying stuff. I'll tell you how I dealt with bullying. I was in grade 2. And Alyssa, leave me alone. No, I'm not going to answer you. Okay, and that's the last time. So I was in grade 2, and my last name was Hanky. That was my maiden name. And I was alone in the hallway because I'd gone to the bathroom during class, and the school bully was coming down the hallway, coming out of the principal's office, of course, yet again. And we were like face to face, like the OK Corral. I was terrified. He was the school bully. I'd never had anything to do with him. He was in grade 5. I was in grade 2. He comes up to me and he goes, "Hanky Panky." And I said, "I prefer Snot Rag and Boogie Bundle." Oh, well, got to get back to class. So I just made fun of it. I just made a joke out of it. And he never came near me again. So yeah, use humor. It's a bigger issue than that. But yeah, my quick live response is try and use humor. You agree with the bully, and then you defer and change the subject. That's what I did. And I've taught this to hundreds of kids. It's work, but it's hard to do. You know, you practice that at home. You role play it at home. Because if they haven't practiced doing it with you, how are they going to do it when they're out there? You don't just tell kids what to do. You role play it. And if those bullies think that they're getting under your kid's skin, they'll keep at them. Okay. That's a bad one. I'm a health food nut. And there's broccoli and kale and spinach in there with a little bit of blueberries. It's not good. It's a bad one. I'm not very good at making healthy stuff taste great. Okay, how to deal with being overstimulated by 2-year-old and 8-month-old. Not much I can do. Not much I can recommend there because it's just difficult. You're in the thick of it. I think sometimes realizing there's not much you can do about it kind of helps. I've been told by my clients, you're just in the thick of it. It's all physical. But keep watching. There's certain things that with a toddler, you ignore tantrums for one thing. That's really important because they will lessen in intensity, duration, and frequency if you learn how to ignore a tantrum. Do you want me to go on about my tantrum speech? If so, you can ask me to, but if you're new, if you're a regular, most people here are regulars, and I've said that so many times. How can I help my 6-year-old son stop asking for everything? Well, you've trained him to do that, so now you have to untrain him. So we ask for something, say no, and say if you ask again, there'll be a consequence. I would, because that's disrespectful if he keeps asking. But you've trained him how to do that. So start with my behavior board. Check that out. I wouldn't put that on there, though. Start with other things. You start working on your leadership stuff. And the behavior board will teach you how to do that. I have a full course on how to get respect in 5 weeks if you're interested. That's up in the link above also. But we're never fixing kids here. We're fixing and teaching parents. So you've trained him to do that. Like if my kids had asked for something, I would have gone, "Are you kidding me? What?" Yeah, they just knew. And I always used to say, a treat is something that's offered once in a while as a surprise. And if they ever ask for anything, I would just say, no, if you ask, you'll get nothing. Like if it's like a treat, something that they don't need to have. So yeah, it's a learned behavior. So you can unlearn that. You can unlearn that, and then he will. You say to ignore tantrums if too young to start. 15 months, you still ignore the tantrum, but it's a little bit different when they're under 16 to me, 16 months to 35 months is what I call a toddler. Under 16 months is still sort of a baby. So what I do is I do ignore the tantrum, but I would sit nearby reading their favorite book out loud to myself. Do not look at them. Do not talk to them. You're just reading their favorite book out loud to yourself. The idea is that you're ignoring the tantrum, but you're hoping they'll come over, sit in your lap, and you'll just start reading the book. Do not discuss tantrums before, during, or after. See, you're just diverting it. It's up to them to calm down and come over and sit and watch you read the book. I'm just thinking to myself, you're thinking, yeah, but what if, but what if, but what if? There's a million different what ifs. That's the general idea, though. So you're kind of diverting it, but not directly. You're not rewarding it. I don't use diversion, really. It kind of is. It's redirecting. Diversion is when they're doing something you don't like and you want a lollipop. That's reward. That diversion, I hate that. That's not what this is. You're just like, you're not even looking at them. You're just reading a book out loud. I just don't want to yell at my 2-year-old twins. I'm so ashamed and guilty and sad. Get rid of all that negativity. Why bother? Why are you beating yourself up? So you mean you're yelling just because your kids are driving you nuts? Welcome to the world. 99.9% of my clients are yellers. So don't beat yourself up over that. That's ridiculous. You're human. You're going to yell because it works in the moment and you don't know what else to do. You're on here because you want to learn what else to do. So until you learn what else to do, you're probably going to keep yelling. So don't beat yourself up over that. I have many toddler courses if you're interested, or you can hire me for coaching. It's all in the link above. But yeah, don't go down the guilt path. It's just gonna, you're just gonna tank. You mean you're human, you make mistakes, life is messy. Big deal. Just teach yourself what else to do instead of yelling. Then you won't need to yell anymore. 99.9% of my clients yell. So rare I get clients who don't yell, it throws me off. Literally, I'll say, okay, so do you yell? And I'm always waiting for a yes because we're working on the behavior board together. Do you yell? And sometimes they'll say no. And I'm like, like it throws me off. It's that rare that I'll get a client who doesn't yell. And these are highly successful, educated people, and they still yell. So there you go. You're normal. Oh, God, no. Oh. Would you ever, I get a little bit emotional here. I love what I do. So, okay. Would you ever do a count to 3 to get a child or a toddler to do something before a consequence? No way, no way. Never, never, never. No, never. I say something once. If it's not done, I take action. But I make sure I set them up for success. I make sure it's a time when they can do it. I'm very fair and reasonable. So, but yeah, I would never do that. It makes you look like you don't know what you're doing. It makes you look afraid of them. There's 3 methods. This is a little bit different. So it's not to get them to do something, but I'll tell you my 3 least favorite commonly used discipline methods with kids. I haven't said this in a long time. I got to write this one down again. I've got like some basic notes, things to remind myself. 3 methods I hate. Just a sec. There's 3 of them, and the one I hate the most is number 1. I'll get to that in a minute. The one I hate that is not as horrible is timeout. I can't stand timeout. I think it's mean. I think it's horrible. I think it's humiliating. I hate it. Number 2 is, wait a minute. Sorry, I just wrote down the wrong thing. Number 2 is diversion. When you say to a kid, when they're doing something naughty, and you say to them, look over here, here's some candy. You never divert with broccoli. You always divert with, here's some ice cream. So they've just learned that doing something bad gets them something good, that you're rewarding the bad behavior. The absolute worst parenting method that is often used, and it's used a little bit differently than what you were saying, but it's when they're doing something bad and you count down to get them to stop. You better stop by the time I count to 3 or you're in big trouble, mister. It's a disaster. What you're saying is it's okay to keep hitting your brother for 3 seconds, but not after that. You're acknowledging and you're rewarding. You're saying it's okay. You're condoning bad behavior in the short term, but not in the long term. It makes you look like you're afraid of them. And then often what will happen, they're pounding the little brother. They start hitting even harder while you're counting to 3. Then you get to 3 and they break, and then there's no consequence. What have they learned? I just got to pound harder and faster for 3 counts. Yeah. Anyway, those are my, yeah. I know it's a little bit different because you're trying to get them to do something. I still don't do a countdown method. It makes you look weak. Like you're counting down because you don't know, you don't really want to discipline. You don't really want to be a leader. You're hoping if you count, then they might do it anyway. That's how it looks. That's how they read it. They read it like, you don't know what you're doing. If I don't yell at my kids, they won't listen. It's short term. It's working now. It'll backfire down the road. There's lots of ways to get kids to listen. That's what I teach. I'm teaching you how to do that. Just keep watching. I have a full course on that up above. I have other stuff. You can hire me for coaching, whatever. It's all in my link above, everything I've got to offer. Or just keep turning up here. I do these every day. Plus I must have thousands of videos on here now, on TikTok. How do you help a kid who cries at everything? Very sensitive. Generally, if they're past the age of 3, it means that you're not a leader. When you're a leader, your kids aren't sensitive because they feel safe. They just feel confident. Their self-esteem increases when they have a leader as a parent. So work on your leadership skills. It's usually a tell. Whenever people say, my kids are so sensitive, I'm saying, you got to work on your leadership skills. They don't feel safe with you. They desperately need a leader. They don't have one. They feel lost. That usually is what I go with. There's other things that it could be, but that's my general advice. Work on your leadership skills. Remember, we're never fixing kids. We're fixing and teaching parents here. I teach parenting. I don't teach kidding. They already know how to kid. They're just reacting to you. Their children are born with their basic nature or their basic personality. All of their behaviors on you. It's your leadership or lack of. So all of what they say and do is on you, which is good news. It means you have a lot more power than you think. You can bring out the best in your kids. That's your job, to bring out the best in your kids. And they're all different. They have different personalities. Like my kids are very different. I just have two. My son, I used to hide under the bed and grab his ankles when he'd walk by. I was a horrendous tease. And just diving out of cupboards, scaring the bejeebies out of him. He loved it. I never did that to my daughter. She hated it. I love that stuff too. So when my son was a teenager, it was payback time. He was really good at that stuff, way better than I ever was. Could I complain about it? Nope. Nope. Okay. I've got someone on YouTube here. Sorry, my camera is up there, so I have to look down. So my kid, when I ask him to do something, the first thing he does is whine. Say, I'm tired, hungry, stressed. How can I get him to do what I need to do? Okay, so let's say it's chores, okay? So use the behavior board. I'm assuming he's 3 and above. He's saying he's hungry, stressed. Yeah, okay. So use the behavior board. That's completely free in the link. And it's a whole course teaching you how to give respect to get it. Anyway, we use the behavior board. Put down a chore chart. Say, follow chore chart is his rule. Then on a separate piece of paper, have like 3 chores he has to do every single day. Make his bed, brush his teeth, whatever, something simple. And then if he doesn't follow it, it's a consequence. So he can whine as much as he wants. Sure, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do, but here's the consequence. They learn through consequences. So teach them that. And you're the manager of all this. That puts you in the leadership role, right? I never used a behavior board. That's something, because I already knew how to be a leader. It's teaching you what step by step how to be a leader. So yeah, just put it down. The only time my kids ever whined, and I just had a client this morning, I'm telling this story too. And my son was 5 years old. He'd obviously been at a friend's house and he'd heard this there. And he came home and he said to me, he said, I'm bored, in that snotty tone, that whiny, snotty tone. And I looked at him like this. And he went, no, never mind. No, I'm not. Because he knew right away, are you kidding me with this? So anyway, I said, oh, my precious angel, are you bored? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. So I said, come with mommy. And I walked him in the laundry room, filled up a mop bucket and gave him a mop. He was never bored again. My daughter, 5 years later, did the exact same thing. So my son was 5 and my son was 10 at this point. He was there and she comes home from a friend's house, tried the exact same thing. I'm bored, in that snotty, whiny tone. And I did the exact same thing and she was never bored again. So yeah, it's how you deal with it. It's not the kids, it's how you deal with it. As soon as they see this face on me, they're like, oops, that didn't work. Never mind, never mind. Too late, you already said it. God, I love mothering. I had so much fun. Plus, it was the same thing with me. If I knew I was being impatient or too demanding of my kids, they would look at each other like this, because they knew I'd make amends later. Mom, don't you think you were a little bit rough on us? Oh, shoot. Yeah, I was. What do you want? So it worked both ways. I was also accountable. That's what makes it work. That's what leadership's all about. It's not a one-way street. The old-fashioned authority-style parenting, that was a one-way street. My way or the highway. I'm your parent. You do what I say. Not a bad way to parent compared to this pleaser parent style that's out there right now. It's a total disaster. I saw that coming. I predicted that they're going to raise self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. Look where we are. Mental health among youths is it's an epidemic right now. It's an epidemic. And they feel that's why they've gone into drugs so much too, is because they don't have the fortitude, because they were raised with this pleaser style that's so popular right now. It's a disaster. I don't teach either. I'm the leader. It's very different. It's more like the authority, but it's two-way. Like the kids, I'm accountable to. I tried ignoring the tantrums by reading a book. My son got a book and threw it. Right, they're going to try that. You're physically bigger than them. I would just sit up a little bit higher and not allow them to touch it. They can be clawing at me. I would just go like that and keep pushing them away. Don't look at them and don't talk to them. Yeah, they're going to do that. Do that stuff all the time. So it still works. You just got to be in control, right? Oh, how do you find the balance between them being scared of you and them being open and honest? Oh my God, when you're a leader, there's no fear there. They're going to tell you anything and everything right through the teen years. You keep following me, you'll get it. Yeah. there's no fear in this. If you're parenting through fear, that they're scared of you, that makes you look scared too. That's not a leader. That is not a leader at all. I teach leadership. It's like, yeah, you messed up. Here's the consequence. That's what a leader does, and make it happen. It's a business transaction. All discipline is business. The rest of the time, I was crazy. I was just nuts. I was best friends with my kids. No fear. No. Although there was a lot of respect. Like I remember my son was a teenager, and one of the kids at school said to him, "Oh, would you?" They were just chatting, right? And he says, "Would you ever break the law?" And my son said, "Are you kidding me?" He said, "I'd be terrified my mom would get to me before the police could." But that's just because he respected me. If there's fear going on, you want to work on that. You don't want that because they're not going to tell you everything. You want your kids to be able to tell. You want to be a safe place to land. They can tell you anything, and they will. It's a good question, though. I think I'll do a video on that. How do you find the balance between them being scared and being open and honest? Okay, I like that question. Because you're not setting yourself up to be an expert, like ever. That's why they can tell me anything. Because, and my mom was the same. And when I went to my mom with something, I'd say, "Mom, I got a problem. What should I do?" She always said, "Well, I don't know. You're a smart girl. You can figure it out." We worked it out together. So we were kind of equals, but I looked up to her. She was my mom. So she was more the leader. So, but yeah, you want to be a safe place to land. What do you suggest instead of counting for a toddler? You take action right away. Countdown is absolute disaster. So it's consistent corrective action. So if they're hitting with a toy, you say no, put the toy away where they can still see it, but it can't touch it for the rest of the day or whatever. So you take consistent corrective action every single time. Fast though, it's got to be quick. You don't let them keep doing it. It's the more that you allow them to do it, the more you're condoning it. So yeah, I'm very fast. I get in there right away. And then you watch them like a hawk. If they do it again, you remove them, remove the fun. You take action. You got to make it a project and pick your battles. You can't work. I'd work on everything day one, but if you're learning how to do this, just pick your battles. Say, I'm just going to deal with hitting this week. Yeah, I'm available for one-on-one. I do Zoom calls. That's all in coaching above there. Excuse me if I get spinach in my teeth. I'm drinking just the most foul smoothie. God, it's a bad one. Oh, broccoli, cauliflower, and kale, and a little bit of blueberries. That's bad. It's bad. I've been working on how I react to things that they tell me to, and it's helped. Yeah, when they tell you something, let's say they've done something you don't like, this is how I would have said this to my kids. If they come up to me and said, "Oh, I can't believe I did this, I did that," and I'd say, "Well, that was stupid. Wait to hear what I did when I was your age." It's okay to make mistakes. So what are you going to do to correct it? That's what I would say. What are you going to do to fix it? Um, but yeah, it's okay to make mistakes. I just did a video on that. The other day, what did I call it? Mistakes are opportunities to learn as a parent and as a child. Don't treat mistakes like they're just the worst thing in the world. Say, "Yeah, that was stupid. We all make mistakes. Here's the consequence." So yeah, it's no big deal. It's no big deal to make a mistake. You got to correct it though. You got to make amends. You got to fix it. So it's not trying to avoid all this stuff. It's, anyway. 2-year-old tantrum that lasts way too long, half an hour. Well, that's learned behavior. If they're going that long, it means that you keep interfering. A tantrum, and half hour is not a big deal, by the way. I've heard way longer than that. But yeah, a tantrum is, I know some of my clients are child psychologists, and they've told me exactly the correct terms for what I talk about. I still can't, I don't know what it is, but this is how I look at it. When they're having a tantrum, their brains are making patterns. Their brain is making a pattern, how to start, how to have, and how to finish a tantrum. If you interrupt that, you're not allowing their brain to make a pattern, to learn how to get over the tantrum. That's why it's very important to let them learn how to build those pathways themselves. So you do not ever interrupt a tantrum. Yeah, I don't know why. parents do that, actually. It doesn't make sense to me to interrupt a tantrum because any attention is tantrum food. You're feeding it. Anytime you give them any attention during a tantrum, you're feeding it. Plus, you're interrupting their brain pattern to learn how to manage tantrums and get over them. Why would you interrupt that procedure? They're literally learning how to self-regulate. You cannot self-regulate a child. You know this. I know I hear this. People tell me that it's out there. You got to self-regulate. And when I first came on TikTok, oh, you're not self-regulating your toddlers. What, you mean you open up their skull and turn a dial? How do you self-regulate someone's brain? Tell me, how do you do that? Never heard of it done. But anyway, I know it's trendy to say that, evidently, but it's impossible. You're right there. You want them to see you ignoring the tantrum. It's important. You look like you're waiting in a lineup. You're not wandering off ignoring them. You're ignoring the tantrum. So you're right there. You're filing your nails. Like you're just waiting. Wait. As soon as they're finished with the tantrum, oh, do you want to go to the park? You see, you ignore the crazy and you reward the calm. They pick up on this really quickly. They're still going to have tantrums, but they will start diminishing in duration, frequency, and intensity because you're allowing their brain to learn the pathway on how to get themselves out of a tantrum. Because they know at the end of it, you might go to the park, they might get a hug, but during, they get nothing. Nothing. They'll survive. You may not, but they will. Do you have a degree for this? I'm in school for social work and I find this really interesting. I have no degrees and I'll tell you why. I was going to be a child psychologist, but they kicked me out. I asked too many questions. And I evidently asked good questions because the other students kept coming up and asking me about kids because I had tons of experience with kids before I started. I thought I was going to be a child psychologist. But yeah, I had no degrees. I realized I couldn't be under someone else's umbrella because I learned everything through kids. I never learned anything in a classroom at all. I learned it all through kids and teenagers. They taught me all this. So I'm experience-based. Is it ever okay to reward a child with a gift for good behavior? Oh my God, no, because that's your baseline. You know, if you have reward charts, that's like saying to a child, you're normally rotten. If you should happen to be good, you'll get a reward. You see, it's sending the wrong message that they're normally rotten. A behavior board says you're normally wonderful. If you should happen to do something bad, I know how to deal with it. You see, rewarding for good behavior is like saying they're bad. You're normally bad. So yeah, I don't do that. After they stop the tantrum, then saying, want to go to the park or whatever, just say, want to read a book, or you just sort of say, oh, you want to go get your clothes on? Do you want, like, it's just sort of like as if nothing happened is what I'm getting at. Suggestions for an almost 3-year-old will dump toys, constantly refuse to pick them up. Get a toy rotation system going so they only have like 5 toys out at any given time. And then they're under 3. You can't really teach them about picking up toys, but yeah, you do, but I don't really want to get into it here because it just kind of takes a while. It takes a while to teach them how to clean up after themselves. But yeah, just have a toy rotation system going. I have a whole bunch of videos on that. I only rotated maybe once every fortnight or once every, sorry, I raised my kids in Australia, once every few weeks or maybe like 2 weeks is a fortnight anyway, or maybe once a quarter even. But the big stuff always stayed out, like the Lego and that. How many kids do you have and how old? 33 and 28, 2 kids. And I got a grandkid on the way. I only reward exceptional behavior like offering to do something, etc. That isn't normal. I just say, gee, you're a great kid. That's what they heard. Oh, you're such a great kid. How come I'm so lucky I got such great kids? That's what I would say. But I never rewarded them for that because I just sort of expected them to be nice. Oh, you asked about your niece. I don't discuss aunting or uncling or grandparenting because if I told you something to do with someone else's kid and they didn't like it, you see where I'm at? I teach parenting only. I stay in my lane. Like I know I'm an aunt, and I know I was different with my nephews than I was with my own kids. So because they were someone else's kids, right? My son listens to me, but okay, not his dad. That is, I have a course on that. Not a course, I have a video. Oh, parents, I did that last Tuesday. Parents arguing over parenting style. So what you do, this is what I suggest you do. Say, look, the kids don't respect you, but they respect me. How about you just follow my lead and see where we go with that? And if he's not on board with it, then he probably would be. But yeah, just say, do you want to follow my lead? But here's what I did with my ex. He was the pleaser, I was the leader. It's usually the way it is. There's usually one leader and one pleaser. There's never an authority and a leader. It just doesn't happen. But there's usually an authority and a pleaser, or a leader and a pleaser. But anyway, and that's okay, as long as you're both on the same page. Here's what my ex-husband used to do. He said he had a really bad day with my son. He was out alone with him, and my son was pushing him around, and not physically, but and anyway, he was in charge. And he came home and he says, "What should I have done?" And I said, "Next time, just say, 'Do you want me to tell mom?'" And that's all he had to do. So he still was managing. He was still getting respect through using me as leverage, and that's fine. That's usually the way it works. And he was what we call the treat master. He took the kids out for treats. I purposely didn't, because I wanted that to be his thing that he did with the kids. So it's kind of nice to have that balance. But the leader's the one they tell everything to also. But yeah, I love being the leader. But anyway, yeah, just say, use you as leverage. Do you want me to tell mom? And my kids would have gone, never mind. Where do you have those videos or your courses? Okay, my videos are all on TikTok, and the courses are all in the link above. I have one link above called bratbusters.linktree or something. Everything I have to offer it's from my website. It just makes it easier to see everything, and that is all on there. I'm just drinking the most foul smoothie, and all I can think about is I can't get this taste out of my mouth. It's just so awful. For anyone who's a regular knows I did a detox. I got off Diet Pepsi. I was drinking gallons of this stuff, and so I was drinking. And now I'm drinking more smoothies. I got to get better at making them. This one's awful. Oh, that's a bad one, but it's healthy, so I got to finish it. It has, let me tell you what's in here. I'm going to tell you anyway. Bunch of broccoli, kale, spinach, a little bit of blueberries, and some protein powder. It is vile. I think it's the broccoli. You think I'd learn. Brush it. Yeah, I don't eat yogurt. Yeah, I know. I actually know how to make a delicious one, but it's more work. So I just slap everything together. Basically, whatever is left over in my fridge. I'm a vegan, so everything that's left over in my fridge gets thrown in here. It's pretty gross. I can't stop drinking it because I have to finish it. Add more blueberries. Yeah, I should, but that's a lot of work, isn't it? Yeah, awful. I'm a horrible cook. I hate cooking. I'm good at cleaning. I hate cooking. When someone comes over, I say, be prepared to cook, and I'll do all the cleaning. I'll do the shopping and the cleaning, but you do all the cooking. That's my dream guest. Okay. So I'm trying to also look at YouTube because I know that I tend to just focus on TikTok. Okay, my son is 2 years old. He likes hitting, especially when he's upset. What should I do to stop him? I actually have a full course on that. It's just a mini course actually on toddlers who hit and bite, etc. So that might be a great help to you. But basically, if they're under 3 years old, it's all about consistent corrective actions. So every single time they hit, you say no, and you remove something fun from them. Remove them from the fun, remove the fun from them, take a toy away, whatever, every single time. Or just if they hit, say no, and then you push their hand away, and then you walk away. So yeah, they will eventually learn. You have to be consistent. If you don't do it every single time, their kids are amazing. They'll remember the one time you mess up. My kids, they can remember everything I've done wrong in parenting, everything. And then I'll say, what about what I did right? And they're, what? It's all, they just remember the mistakes you made. But especially when they're little, when they're toddlers, if you do something 9 times but forget the 10th time, if you're trying to correct one specific behavior like hitting, you forget that 10th time, they'll remember that. They'll think, well, every so often I can get away with it, so I'm just going to keep doing it. So make it a project. You're asking about a detox bath for a speech delayed toddler? I have no idea what you mean by that. Never heard of that. Here's the thing with cooking and cleaning. Sorry, I'm going off topic, but cleaning lasts so long. Cooking is like temporary. You eat it and it's all gone. But I love healthy food, so I throw everything together in the oven or on the stove or whatever. It's all healthy stuff. I'm a gluten-free health food vegan, so everything I eat is healthy, but doesn't always taste good. But I'd rather eat something unhealthy that tastes like crap than something healthy that tastes good, because I try to look at food like fuel, right? So I wasn't always this radical, but yeah, I'm allergic to oranges. Okay, enough about me. Okay. Bum 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 bum. I'll just whenever I get a little bit of a lull in the questions, I'll go back to one of my I have a few notes, just sort of points I like to hit on. But I just want to talk about the 4 stages of parenting and how your parenting changes. There's 4 different stages. So this is how your parenting changes throughout the years. When you've got a baby, 0 to 15 months, it's all nurturing, hugging, loving, all that stuff. It's all just loving. It's building that love bond, okay? That's 0 to 15 months. That's the baby stage. Then you've got the toddler stage, 16 to 35 months. Not much you can do. They're just crazy, okay? They're just forming. They're brand new, fresh human beings that don't do any of the mini therapy sessions. They're not listening to you. If you want to correct bad behavior, it's consistent corrective actions. That's what you do. Then you've got the child stage. That's 3 to 12. I know there's tweens in there, but you're still the same kind of parent. You're very much a leader. They come to you, they tell you everything, you work through things together with them. So you're very much the same parent. I have a course on that, and it's 3 to 12-year-olds. Yes, they're very different, but you're not. Your parenting style is very similar. Then 13 plus, the teen stage, you change quite a bit in that stage. You want to focus on 2 things when you've got teenagers. One is you want to be a really good listener, and you listen to understand and show empathy. You do not listen to gather information to lecture with. They already know the score at that stage. They know what you're going to say anyway. Don't give advice that's unsolicited. If they want your advice, they're going to ask for it. Even then, don't give it. Say, okay, well, what do you think what do you think I should do, Mom? Say, I don't know. Let's figure it out together. So, and then that kind of brings us into the second most important parenting style or parenting method with teenagers is you negotiate everything. So everything's negotiable with a teenager. You want to give them a say in how their life goes. So those are the 4 stages that you go through as a parent. Um, okay. How do you get a 10-year-old to understand adults and parents make rules? He says he makes rules. So you want to be the authority. I don't operate that way. So check out my course that's above there, or use the free behavior board is also a course, and it's completely free. The course is just more exclusive. It just teaches you a lot more, obviously, the 3 how to get respect in 5 weeks. But yeah, check. You're talking about the authority. I make the rules, you follow them. I don't talk like that. So yeah, I don't do that. That's the authority style parenting. I don't do any of that. I'm the leader. Saying bad words. Put down on the behavior board, that's free up above in the link. On the behavior board, put down no bad words as their rule. And if they say a bad word, there's a consequence. My toddler is nearly 3, but I don't see him calming down anytime soon. I don't know what to say. What do you mean calming down? Is he just hyperactive? That's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't quite know what you mean by that. I actually got a really small group this morning. There's 73 people here. Saturday mornings is slower, so it means I get to answer all the questions. It also means that I don't get as many questions as normally. So if they're not flying through, I might just cut it short. Okay. Your behavior board states that if a child hits or a parent yells, that always has to be on the board. Yes. So the parents are also on the board. So if you yell, no yelling is always your rule. That's your first week. You always put no yelling. And then if the child hits, you always put no hitting. Those are 2 things you have to address. You never put for a child no yelling. That's ridiculous. That's like saying be good. There's different expectations for adults and children. But violence, like hurting other people, that's always top priority. Always. So My 2-year-old won't stop throwing things. Well, every time he throws something, that's consistent corrective actions. You say no and you take that thing and put it away. And you watch him like a hawk, though. The next time he goes to throw something, you just look at him. And if he throws it, say no and put it away. Don't say no before he throws it. He's just doing that for attention, but just make sure he knows you're watching him. They will eventually learn. So put everything away. Get a toy rotation system going so there's virtually nothing for him to throw. I child-proofed my whole house when my kids were toddlers, so I never had to say no to them. And then they had very few toys out because I did a toy rotation system. The fewer things they have out, the more they tend to respect them, the less likely they are to throw them because they don't want to lose them, right? So yeah, 2 things: child-proof your house, don't have a lot of stuff around, no remotes or anything that they can pick up and throw. And then 2, have a toy rotation system. So there's just not that much stuff out. I'm not a minimalist, but I'm more that way. It just helps, makes your life easier. My 2-year-old is biting when I say no. So if you say no to something, they go in for a bite, just restrain them. You physically restrain a child when they get physically aggressive. I have a mini course on toddlers for that, toddlers who bite, hit, etc. So yeah, they just don't like the word no, and yeah, physically restrain them. It's like parents say, they're always biting me, they're always biting me. Well, you're bigger than them, you can restrain them. So yeah, you got to be on your toes with toddlers. Are physical. That's my least favorite age because they're so physical. They're cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains. I love them when we were at home because it was easy, but when I took them out, you just have to watch them. You can never relax. You know what I don't like? So I've got a toddler out in the hallway here. I live in an apartment. Anyway, I don't like playrooms. You know, people will build these big, beautiful homes and do a separate playroom. I would never do that. 2 reasons. One is there's too much stuff for them in there. They get overstimulated. And the most important reason why I would never do that is because I want them with me. I don't want them over there. I want them here with me. I want their toys in the kitchen when they're playing and I'm cooking. I want my kids with me all the time. There's a great power in that. And then the toy rooms tend to be overstimulating. There's too much stuff and too much crap everywhere. Yeah. Where are your videos? They're all right here on TikTok. I have tons of them. And I also have, I'm getting more into YouTube and also on Instagram. Like I've known people who've built homes with these far away playrooms for the kids. And I'm like, I don't want to be with my kids. Like I would, I just, it's not for me. I mean, if that's what you want, then that's fine. But I want to be around my kids. I want to see what they're doing. I want to be hanging. I just want to be part of their lives more. I understand no countdown to stop, but to get them to listen, for example, to come here, no, 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 I would never use countdown. It's so wishy-washy. Like, oh, come over here, we're going to do this. And if they don't, I wouldn't go 1, 2, 3. Like, it just makes it sound, you make it sound weak. Like, it would be like I don't know. It's just, I just don't like it. It's weak. It's very weak. It's like you don't know what you're doing. I'm going to count because I can't get you to come here when I want you to. So I'm going to count and hope you do. Hope you do. You're giving them more time to ignore you. Now, you don't have to come right now. You can come when I count to 3. 1, 2, 2.5, 3. It's all they're hearing is the shaky weakness. It's just weak. It's like I would say, okay, off we go. We're going to go to school now. And that's it. If they don't come when they're called, I take action. I'd go in there and I'd say, come on, we're going to get going. And there'll be a consequence later on for disrespecting me. So that's why they never did. Like, why would they? And I'd usually say, what do you think we should do? You ignored me. What do you think we should do about that? Oops. How did you become a leader with your kids? I don't talk a lot about that. The reason is I had so much experience with kids before I had my own. It just kind of fell into place. But I mean what I say and I say what I mean. My kids learn from a very young age when mom says something, she means it. And plus I use fun as leverage. I'm a very goofy, fun person with kids and humor. And I used humor with teenagers when I was mentoring troubled teens. So I use fun and humor as leverage. So kids loved having a fun mom. And if they were disrespectful in any way, I wasn't so much fun. I'd get quiet. Good example of that was every time I did the laundry, I became the panty monster. All the underpants went on my head and the leg holes were the eye holes. And I'd be telling the kids, okay, get ready. A panty monster's getting ready. And I'd chase them around the house. But if they had done anything disrespectful while we're playing panty monster chase games, then I would have just underpants came off. I wouldn't even have said anything. I would have just gone like that. Fun's over. So I used fun as leverage. So they just respected me, and it just was easy. I don't teach any of that because it, uh, that was my style. There you go. That was my style. Humor and fun. I always said that people used to say, well, how do you get respect with these troubled teens? And I said, my weapon is humor. But that's not everyone's style. So why would I teach that? If you're not naturally funny or goofy, that's not going to work for you, right? So that's my personal style. But yeah, my kids knew when I said something, I meant it. There's no way. If I said something, it was going to happen. Guaranteed. There's no warnings or anything. Yeah. I was reliable. It would be the type of consequence. Usually it would be stuff they didn't like, but I love. Brushing my hair was one. Okay, you're brushing my hair for 5 minutes after school then. Oh, Mom, yeah. Okay, we want to make it 6? So stuff like that. That was usually what I did because I love it. And plus it's bonding too. I remember once my son was 12 years old and he was late for something, or I don't remember what it was. Anyway, and I said, fine, you got 2 choices. No PlayStation tonight, or you can give me a makeover for 30 minutes. And he only did it once, but he said, okay, I'll take he's figuring 30 minutes of hell making up a mom is worth it, because he really wanted to get back on a PlayStation. He was in the middle of this big game. Anyway, so after school, he had to give me a makeover. I got all my makeup out and I laid out on the couch to relax, get this makeover. And he said he felt like a serial killer. He's, oh, pretty girl. I'm laying there with my eyes closed like a corpse. So we just had a blast, but he never did it again. But yeah, so I had fun with discipline too. Well, fun for me. But yeah, he never did that again. He was never late again. Anyway, okay. Oh, it's getting time. I got to get going. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'm also on YouTube at the same time. And you're my TikTok audience. And you go in the link above. Everything I have to offer is in there. You can hire me for one-on-one coaching that's done on Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you are in the world. And you can buy one of my courses or download my free behavior board. It is a full course. It's completely free. It teaches you how to give respect to get it. It's just sort of the first step in all this. If you've got a 3-year-old and above, that kicks in. The mini toddler courses are if you don't have a 3-year-old. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk again soon. Bye now.